Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the world was far from what it is today. The sky was quieter, the air cleaner, but life was much harsher. Humanity lived in the heart of untamed nature, surrounded by predators, gripped by hunger, chilled by the cold. Every morning was a fight for survival. Lighting a fire, finding food, staying warm through the night. These weren't choices, they were necessities. Back then, survival wasn't just about instinct. It was about becoming one with the earth, listening to it, living in rhythm with its wild heartbeat. And that ancient blood, it still flows through us. Now imagine that same man from thousands of years ago suddenly arrives in our world. He steps onto concrete streets, where flashing screens blind him and unknown sounds rattle his senses. Everything is foreign, except one thing, being human. Because this isn't just a story from the past, it's a story about us, a journey through time. A caveman standing in a modern city, two worlds colliding with one question: how far have we really come? Today we'll see the world through his ancient eyes. As we pass through cities, supermarkets, and glowing screens, we'll witness the shock of seeing your own face in a mirror for the very first time. This isn't just his story, it's the reality we're starting to forget. If you're ready, then come with us. We're bringing the past into the present, and maybe, just maybe, together we'll rediscover what it truly means to be human. Now imagine that same man walking through the busiest street in your city. People rush past him, barely noticing. Horns blare so loud they shake your bones. Neon lights flash in his eyes, faces glued to bright screens. Don't even glance his way. It's like making eye contact has become a threat in today's world. And there he is, standing in the middle of it all, completely alone. He's confused, sure, but also deeply curious, because he's someone who has survived by trusting his instincts. In his world, every sound was a warning, every scent a signal, every shadow either danger or hope. But what about your world? Just endless notifications, the anxiety of the next meeting, or maybe just moments lost while you're constantly rushing to somewhere else. That's where this gets interesting, because with this man from the ancient past, maybe we'll begin to understand what really matters. Now think, this man is walking the same street as you. He sees car headlights for the first time and flinches in fear. He spots a balloon in a kid's hand and watches in awe, trying to make sense of it. For a second, maybe he even smiles. It reminds him of a bird, but soon he's swept up in the crowd, trying to read the expressions on strangers' faces. In his time, a single look could tell a whole story. A smile meant friendship. A frown signaled danger. But here, faces are blank. Eyes stare at the ground, or worse, at screens. It's a quiet reminder. Maybe we're not evolving, we're forgetting. This man speaks the oldest language on earth, silence. But what do you speak? The clicks of a keyboard? Or maybe that quiet scream inside? Are you just waiting for a job alert to pop up on your phone? Right here, right at the heart of this story, stop and really think, what would the world look like through his eyes? Do you think it's us who changed? Or did the world disappear while we weren't looking? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's hear what you think. Like this video, because your curiosity gives this story life, and subscribe, because this isn't just a video, it's a wake-up call. Come on, let's write this story together, from the Stone Age all the way to right now. This isn't just about what he would do, it's about what we've forgotten. We're going to see the modern world through his eyes. He'll probably freak out in a grocery store aisle, confused by all the colorful packaging. He'll touch a plastic container and not know what to make of it. He might look in a mirror and recognize himself for the first time and be completely shocked. But most importantly, he'll remind us what it actually means to be human. Because he's not just some caveman, he's one of us. The only difference is the time he was born in. His fears, his hopes, his fight to survive, all of it is the same as ours. So what would you do? If you locked eyes with him, what would you feel? Would you see a stranger, or would you see a part of yourself staring back? Maybe his confusion reminds you of something you've forgotten in your daily grind, what it means to really feel alive. This story isn't just his, it's yours too. This video is a time machine, and you're about to travel through it. Step by step, you'll rediscover this world through ancient eyes. You might laugh, you might get emotional, but you'll feel something, and that feeling, that's the lesson. So are you ready to listen? If you are, let's dive into this journey together. Now open your eyes and follow that man. The Stone Age man is stepping away from the chaos of the city and entering through the automatic doors of a supermarket. As the doors suddenly open, he jumps back, gripping his spear tightly in an instant reflex. One thought runs through his mind. Is this a trap? A threat? His heart is pounding in his chest. His eyes are scanning everything around him. And then, all at once, a smell hits his nose, the scent of raw meat. It's familiar to him, because in his world, that smell means prey, survival, life itself. But here, under fluorescent lights, it's a world of plastic wrap and barcode stickers. Thousands of colorful packages lined up on the shelves look like puzzles to him. He reaches out for a loaf of bread, but what he touches feels nothing like earth, nothing like an animal. It's plastic, cold, artificial, and it scares him. He pulls his hand back in shock, like he's just touched a snake. A faint smile appears on his face, but it's more like he's just witnessed the first absurd joke of this modern world. And that alone tells us how far we've fallen from what's natural. Among many other things, he looks around, people are filling their carts, but no one is speaking. Everyone's plugged into their own bubble with headphones on, tapping their screens, racing against the beeping sounds. The man pauses for a moment and notices a child. The child is holding a piece of chocolate, eyes sparkling with curiosity. They make eye contact. The child doesn't flinch, because children wonder before they judge. The man looks at the chocolate in the child's hand, as if that shiny wrapper is a treasure. But then the mother pulls her child by the arm and whispers, "Don't look at him, he's just a performer." But he is not a performer. He is a ghost of the past, a mirror of what we've forgotten. People have buried themselves so deep in their digital realities that they don't even realize what they're saying anymore. A television screen catches the man's attention, flashing between the shelves. On the screen, a man is dancing, speaking rapidly, trying to sell something. His voice is high-pitched, his smile is fake, because it's a commercial, and commercials deceive. The Stone Age man doesn't look away from the screen. Is that a real human, or some kind of spirit? In his world, spirits used to dance on cave walls, but here they are trapped inside glowing boxes. Something stirs inside him, fear. But right after that, a familiar instinct kicks in, curiosity. Observe danger, understand it, adapt, just like a child would. That's what kept him alive for thousands of years. He picks up a tub of yogurt. On the label, it says 100% natural, but he doesn't understand, what does natural even mean here? To him, natural is the coolness of a river, the scent of fruit. This plastic container doesn't resemble anything he's ever known. He's confused, but he's trying to figure it out. Bit by bit, he is trying to understand. But the people, they seem strange. Their behavior, their posture, their energy, it's all foreign. Then he notices something else. These people aren't hungry. Their carts may be full, but their faces are empty. In his world, hunger was the fire that guided every step. Hunting, gathering, sharing, that was life. But here, people seem to be chasing a different hunger.
More, faster, newer.
A security guard approaches him. "Sir, please leave the store." He doesn't understand the words, but he feels the tone. It's human. He is being rejected. His eyes drop to the floor for a moment, because for the first time he realizes he doesn't belong. But wait, this is your world too. His confusion is whispering to you, beneath all your daily noise, what are you really chasing? This part is important. Don't miss it. Now let me ask you something. If you saw that man in the store, what would you do? Would you laugh? Or would you pause and wonder what he was seeing? Maybe for just a moment, you'd see the world like he does, with fresh eyes, where everything is new and unfamiliar. Drop a comment, share your thoughts. If you were in his place, how would you survive in this world? And like this video, because this story only comes alive with you. Subscribe, because this journey is just beginning. Let's keep exploring the modern world through his eyes, because this isn't just his story, it's ours too. Now change the scene, but don't take your eyes off the man. The Stone Age man is stepping out of the chaos of the supermarket and entering the sterile, cold restroom of a shopping mall. His bare feet land on smooth ceramic tiles, But this ground isn't the soil he knows. It's made of concrete and tiles. The space is silent, except for the distant dripping of a faucet echoing through the room. And then, his eyes catch something on the wall. Mirrors, in his world, the only way to see yourself was the shaky reflection on the surface of a still puddle. But this feels like a miracle, or maybe a crisis. He slowly approaches the mirror, sets his spear down on the floor, his breathing quickens, his heart feels like it's about to stop. He raises his hand, the reflection does the same. His eyes widen, his chest pounds. Is this an enemy, a spirit, or himself? For the first time he is seeing his own face, clearly. The lines on his forehead, the scars on his cheeks, the wild but vulnerable look in his eyes. This is me, something seems to whisper in his ear, but that realization hits him like a shattering wave. For the first time he sees himself, not as a blur, but in full detail. And there is a vast difference between seeing yourself in a drop of water and seeing yourself in a mirror. In his world, identity was something internal. He saw himself as a being fused with his body, present in the silence of the forest, in the chase of a hunt. But here, in this glass surface, his identity feels trapped. He reaches out to touch the mirror, to touch his own cheek, but meets the cold glass instead. He pulls back. He turns his head, as if he's trying to run from himself. Looking at his own face, suddenly feels too heavy, because that face doesn't belong in this world. The scars are records of hunger, cold, and battles with predators. But in this smooth, sterile place, those marks feel out of place, like a relic behind museum glass. He closes his eyes for a moment, as if trying to escape the reflection. But then he looks again, because he's not someone who runs from fear. He faces it. And even though seeing himself in the mirror shakes him, in that moment, he manages to conquer just a little of his fear. As the man is trying to make sense of himself, someone walks in, clean-shaven, in a suit. A modern businessman enters. He reaches toward the sensor-activated faucet, and water flows without touch. Paper towels come out from a machine on their own. The Stone Age man continues watching in disbelief. In his world, cleanliness meant bathing in a river. For him, cleaning was a ritual. It was a moment of sharing, of purification. But here, it's triggered by a button, cold, mechanical, soulless. He looks at his hands, scarred, dirty, but alive. The modern man walks out, not even glancing at him, and that moment of disregard speaks volumes. It says how self-centered people have become. The Stone Age man stands alone in front of the mirror, and then he realizes something. In this world, everyone looks into mirrors, but no one sees themselves. Filtered faces on screens, polished lives, selves measured by likes. But he just saw himself, raw, real, broken, but true. And how many of us, in our everyday lives, look into the mirror without ever questioning who we really are? Just like this man, how many of us fear ourselves, or are even trying to understand who we are? In time we'll come to understand not just the Stone Age man, but our own truest selves too. The man steps back out and blends again into the crowd of the shopping mall. But now he's not just an observer. After looking into that mirror, something has cracked inside. A sense of awareness has awakened. People are walking fast, faces are tense, eyes fixed on screens or glued to the floor. Everyone is chasing something. But what? More things, higher status, or just something to fill that empty space inside? None of that really. What they truly need is for their eyes to well up. That man, the one who came from thousands of years ago, might just be the one to remind us of the most human part of ourselves. That real identity isn't something a mirror can reflect. It's something we discover through depth, silence, and truth. His steps begin to slow, because now he walks not only with the burden of his own time, but with the weight of ours too. Now stop and think. When was the last time you really looked at yourself? Not in a selfie, but in a raw, unfiltered mirror. Like him, have you ever faced your scars, your fears, your hopes? Write it in the comments, because for our society to heal, we need to question, and we need to reflect. And now the sun is about to set. The glass towers of the city reflect the crimson sky like mirrors. But this view, this moment, is not something the Stone Age man has ever known. He stands in a park, resting under the shadow of a tree, because thousands of years ago, trees or caves were his only shelter. People jog by, couples walk their dogs, teenagers are buried in their phones. No one looks at him, no one even notices him. But really, how can there be so many people around, and not a single one acknowledges him? And yet he no longer finds it strange. He has learned something about humans. Modern humans' greatest habit is not seeing. But he sees the branches swaying in the wind, the whispers of the breeze, the scent of the soil, and for the last time he looks up at the sky. That sky reminds him of the starry blanket his ancestors once slept beneath. But now it's dimmed by neon lights. He slowly leans against the trunk of the tree, sets down his stone spear. He shrugs off his fur cloak, as if letting go of the weight of the past. He doesn't need to fight anymore, because this world doesn't fight with swords. It fights with notifications. The stars, once his guide, are barely visible now. This world has traded survival for comfort, and it tries to do everything without ever stepping out of that comfort zone. He has seen our world for one day: the plastic scent of a supermarket, the cold reflection in a mirror, the loneliness buried in the crowd. In his world, everything had meaning. Every bone of the animal he hunted had a purpose. The fruit he gathered was shared with his tribe. Fire was not just warmth, it was the heartbeat of a community. But here, he saw food thrown away. This from the eyes of someone who once fought for a single bite. He got lost in crowds of people walking alone. Once a man who had always stood shoulder to shoulder with others. And the most shocking thing to him, with all that humanity possesses now, why do people look so tired? Why is everyone chasing something, but no one stops to breathe? A child approaches, fearless, a ball in one hand, curiosity in their eyes. Maybe it's the same kid from the supermarket, maybe not, but those eyes remind him of something familiar. A pure thirst for discovery. He crouches down to meet the child at eye level. He smiles, the child smiles back. They don't speak because the deepest human connections aren't made with words, but with silence. And in that moment, for the first time in this foreign world, he feels a connection. Then he stands up and slowly walks away from the park. No one notices, not the cameras, not the people, but he leaves behind something invisible, a trace, a quiet reminder that there is still a longing to remember. That look in the child's eyes, if only more people were that curious, maybe we'd all start searching for who we truly are. This story isn't just his, it's ours too. His day started by reigniting fire. Ours begins by snoozing an alarm. His midday was a life or death hunt. Ours is a coffee break or a meeting. His night was filled with stories under the stars. Ours disappears in the blue glow of screens. We call this civilization, but are we truly more civilized? Or are our walls just taller, our machines quieter, and our loneliness deeper? He came from thousands of years ago, but maybe, just maybe, he was more human than us. So if you ever meet someone like him, don't fear him, don't judge, just listen, because his silence speaks more than all our shouting. Now stop for a second and think. If you saw the world through his eyes, what would you do differently? When was the last time you really looked up at the sky? Write it in the comments. What do you miss most in this world? Like this video, because this story grows with you. Subscribe because this isn't just a video, it's an awakening. His journey ends here, but yours, it's just beginning. And never forget, those who don't know their past can never truly step into their future.